Since releasing the Floating Glittered Ornament tutorial a year ago, I've had a number of people comment that they do not have a cutting machine to cut out the insert, and they also don't have design software in order to customize the template to your wants or your needs. So I decided to release a supplemental tutorial to show you how you can still make these ornaments using free source software and using just scissors in order to cut out your template. So what we're going to be using for our design software is free source software called Inkscape. So the website is inkscape.org. All you're going to do is you're going to come to this location here. I will link it in the description section of the video. You will select download now and just follow the prompts to download that onto your computer. The next thing is we're going to be using the same 4-inch disc-shaped ornament insert template. So this is the M&M shape. I don't have one for the 3-inch. I've never stocked 3-inch ornaments, so unfortunately I don't have one for that size. I don't feel comfortable selling designs for things that I cannot try first. And we're also going to be using the same Frozen Castle winter scene just to keep things consistent across the videos and so I don't accidentally teach anything new. So if you have used these or other graphics from the internet and you've downloaded it to your computer, most likely it's gone if you're on Windows to your download folder. And if these are the files that you've done, you're going to notice that they come in compressed zip folders. So I have here the floating ornament insert as well as the frozen ice castle. So I've already extracted this one. Before you can upload it to your design software, you do need to extract. So you can just click on it, right click, extract all, extract, and it's going to open up that folder for you. So just to show you the files that are included in this, we have the circle shape as well as the square shape. For today's tutorial, we'll be using the square shape. And for the floating ornament insert, it comes with a number of different files. It has a read before use important sizing instruction file. This is in case you upload it to design software, which resizes the file before you can use it, which is going to happen today. You know what size to resize it to. You're also going to notice 4 different versions of the template: a DXF, EPS, PNG, and SVG. If you do use cutting design software, you'll know which one is most appropriate for what you're using. Today we're going to be using the SVG. This is also the one that you'd be using if you're on Cricut Design Space. If you do not see a file that says SVG, it's just simply that your computer doesn't have a default program that reads SVG files. Most likely it will say HTML. If you see that, trust me, it is the SVG file, and this is the one that you're going to import into Inkscape. So when you open up Inkscape, it's just going to look like this: a plain white artboard on a white background. And we're going to come into File, and the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select Open. You're going to look in, and for us it was for me it was the Download Floating Ornament Insert, and I'm choosing the Floating Ornament Insert SVG, and I'm going to select Open. Now it doesn't look like anything happened except our rectangle turned into a square, but this is because the template is a white background, a white graphic on a white background, so you don't actually see it. I have to make it in white in order for it to come out transparent for the film, but to keep the same shape that it has and to keep the same size. So what we need to do first is we need to be able to see what we're working with. So we're going to go into File, Document Properties, and you're going to want to change that background color. So towards the bottom it says background. You're going to click on it, and then you're just going to click any color just to change it so you have a contrast between the graphic and the background. The next thing we want to do is my transparency film is in US letter size, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. So I want to change my page size to 8.5 by 11. I'm now done with document properties. I don't need them anymore, so I can X out of them. If you want to zoom in and out, I'm going to teach you a quick keyboard shortcut. If you choose the minus sign, it'll zoom you out. If you choose the plus sign, it will zoom you in. And also, just for navigating around your document, if you don't want to use the scroll bars, you can simply press and hold, you can click off anywhere on the background, not on the graphic, and then press and hold the space key bar, and it will allow you to sort of move around with your mouse so you can sort of navigate your artboard like that. So I'm going to select the graphic now, and I'm going to change my units from millimeters to inches, and I'm going to lock my dimensions by clicking this little lock icon. And I already know that this has descaled, so I'm going to upscale it to 3.8 inches. And this is going to, with the lock, keep its proportions and correctly upscale it to the right size. And now what I want to do is I'm just going to right click on my graphic and I'm going to select duplicate, and that will duplicate the image. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to show you two different ways of filling this. So in the event that you're just looking to add a name to your ornament or something else with a different type of transparent background, and you want to keep just sort of the shape and like just be able to cut it out around the edges, I'm going to show you how you can introduce a stroke to that. And this one here, I'm going to fill with a graphic completely. So for this one, we're going to first start by clicking our graphic, and then you're going to come down here to stroke, and you're just going to select next to stroke, and it's going to open up this side panel, fill in stroke, and it defaults to stroke paint. And I'm going to choose this first box here, which is flat color, and it's going to fill it with outline it with a black stroke. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into stroke style, and I want to bring down the width. I don't need it to be that bold. I want it just to be a very fine line that I can cut around, but one that's not really going to change the dimensions of the border when I go to actually cut it out. So this one here is now ready. You could, like I said, put a name in it, put another graphic on it, and it would just have an outline for you to cut out around. For this one here, we're going to put the ice castle on it. So I'm going to go to File, and rather than opening a new document, I'm going to import. And I'm already in the Frozen Ice Castle Palace folder. If you're not, just go and find it. And I'm going to import the square design, and I'm just going to leave all these settings exactly the way they are, and I'm going to select OK. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so I can see that a little bit better. Now it imported it at 12 inches, so I'm going to bring this down to about 4 inches, and I'm just going to bring this onto my artboard, and I'm basically going to just line these two up. So in order to line it up nicely, I'm going to take a box, or I'm going to make a box. I'm just going to draw it around them. You have to completely cover both of them. And I'm going to choose this icon up here, which is Align and Distribute. And I'm going to choose Center on Vertical Axis. And I'm going to line up the tops together as well by choosing Align Top Edges. And with both of these selected, I am just going to bring this down a little bit so I can continue working with it. So I'm now going to come into my top row here, and I'm going to choose objects just so I can see which objects I have. This is my layers. So this is the image, that is the insert behind the image, and this is the one that we just put the stroke on. So I want to select the insert behind the image, and I'm going to come down here, and I just want to pop that over top of the image that I have. And then I'm going to once again draw a box over both of them, select them together, right click, and I'm going to set clip, and this just crops it perfectly. So with that together like that, these are now ready to be printed. So I'm going to first line them up so that way, so you just sort of saw if I don't go around the entire thing, it's not going to select them both. I'm now just going to first go back into the alignment. I just like to line things up perfectly, so I'm just going to line them to each other to center, select them both again, move them up to something like that, and then that looks good. So one of the things that I want to mention is I do not like to print from Inkscape. They do not have a print preview, and when I have printed in the past, it's sort of cut off parts of the design, and I'm going to show you what I mean here. As you can see, the edge of this ornament insert has been cut off for no reason. At first I thought maybe it was the margins were not quite right. It was outside of the bounds, and that's why it did it. So I tried moving it underneath the other one, but that was not the case either because I didn't just cut the bottom even though I was on portrait mode. So it had no good reason to do that. So I've just decided that it's better to export these images as a PNG file and then use that in a Google document and print from there where it's just a better quality print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to say Export PNG, and it's going to come here into the side panel again. I forgot to mention that when exporting this, you want to make sure that you've selected page, not drawing selection or custom. You want to select page because it's going to then keep the entire 8.5 by 11 artboard behind it, which is going to allow us to properly size it once we export this into Google Docs. I'm going to go to Export As, and I'm just going to write, I guess, ornament as my file name, if I can spell it better. And I'm just going to put it on my desktop. And you can see here it's PNG. You want it to be PNG, it needs to maintain its transparency. So once I've saved it as a PNG, I'm just going to reduce this. I'm going to reduce this here, and I'm just going to check here. Yeah, it's still not spelled right. But that's it there on my desktop. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back to my Internet Explorer. I'm going to go to Google. I have this saved on my bookmark bar, the documents, but I'm going to link this as well. It's docs.google.com. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come on here. You're going to want to make a new blank document, and we're going to go to Insert, Image, and I'm going to upload from my computer. And I'm going to look for my misspelled file here on my desktop. I'm going to open it, and there it is on my image. So you can see here, by having it export the entire page, it's also exported that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper sort of in behind it, kind of transparently, which is great. This will allow us to know exactly what size it's going to be, so that way we know it's going to be the right size when we print it. So now I'm going to select Image Options, and I'm going to start with size and rotation. So one of the frustrating things about Google Documents is it doesn't allow you to change it from centimeters to another type of unit. So I need to look up what 8.5 inches is in centimeters for width, because it's going to be an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper. So what is 8.5 inches in centimeters? And we will just click on the first one that comes up. And this will be the same for you guys as well. So it's going to be 21.59 inches. So I'm just going to come into width, 21.59, and it locked the proportions, so the height automatically adjusted as well. So that's perfect. So now I can reduce my size and rotation. I'm now going to go into text wrapping. I want it to wrap in front of the text. This just makes it so that it doesn't limit where you can put it on the page. And then I'm going to go into position, and I want to choose fixed position on page, and I'm going to choose top center out of quick layouts. And that's it. This is now ready for printing. So I'm going to choose File. I'm going to go to Print, and I want to use more settings. I'm going to scroll all the way down, and I want to use the system dialog. I'm going to go into preferences. This is going to look different based on what printer you have. The important part is you want to make sure your paper size is right, your paper orientation is right. We did this in portrait. I have to keep plain paper media type. You might need to change it to a glossy paper or something like that. But I use a laser printer, which does run hot. If I do anything other than plain printer paper, I tend to melt the transparency film. The big one here is print quality. You want to up that to the highest quality print you can possibly get. And also, I'm going to change my document type to a photo image. That's it. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to say Apply. And now I am ready to print this, and I will show you how I cut it out. So our graphics are printed out here. I'm just going to take a piece of white paper just to show you in behind. And that's them. So you can see a very, very thin line here for our outline for the one that we didn't fill. And then we've got the fill one here. So now it is honestly very simply just taking a pair of scissors and just cutting them out. So here they are cut out. As you can see, it was just done by hand. If it's easier for you to see the outline with a piece of white paper behind it, by all means put your template on here on a piece of white paper and just cut it out together. It's definitely going to be a lot easier to see those lines. And just to show you how they fit inside the ornament, I have a 4-inch disc ornament right here. So you just roll it. Oops. Try to make sure it's straight. Pop that in, hold the tab, and that one there is a perfect fit. I can't see the edges at all. And the one with the graphic, same deal. Roll it, pop it in, and there it is. Perfect fit. So there is definitely a way to do this by hand without a cutting machine and without paid software. For the rest of the tutorial, please go back and check out the original tutorial that was posted so you can see how we do the glitter add-ons and the bow.